Hey, what is going on, guys? Today I am sharing with you 10 supercars slash hypercars that you need to have in Assetto Corsa. Whether you like doing track days with some road going cars or you like to cruise around your favorite free roam map, these are going to be 10 cars that you need to try out. We have everything on this list from super duper expensive Halo hypercars to some more, affordable in air quotes supercars, and even some classic supercars on this list. So definitely something for every taste of car person. So without further ado, let's just get right into this with the Ferrari 250 GT Lusso. This was your typical classic Ferrari GT car. It was produced in the 60s. 351 of these cars were produced, but they are absolutely stunning. I love so much the 60s GT style of European sports cars. This thing has a 3-liter naturally aspirated V12, and it comes in a 4 and 5-speed manual transmission. It's got 247 brake horsepower, 255 newton meters of torque, but it only weighs 1,020 kilograms. MNBA, who made all of the cars on this list, did a fantastic job with this one, and if classics are your thing, then this is definitely one you need to cruise around with. You can find it in the link in the description below. Next up on the list, we have one of the coolest cars ever made, in my opinion, and if you're in the know about Italian sports cars and hypercars, this is definitely one you immediately know. This is the Maserati MC12, and for all intents and purposes, this thing is a road-going race car. Man, where do you even start with this thing? I think it looks so cool. It has that kind of early 2000s chic with its sports car design, and while I don't really like a ton of the cars that came out in the early 2000s, this one definitely looks amazing. This car was packing a 625 horsepower naturally aspirated V12, making 653 newton meters of torque. It all weighed just 1,335 kilograms, and of course it had a 6-speed manual transmission. This thing sounds amazing and drives like a race car. What more could you want? You can find it in the link in the description below. Now we get to the more modern stuff. This is the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS. This is kind of their racing track version, if you will, track-focused version of their Porsche Cayman GT4. And this thing looks so cool, especially if you have one of the paint jobs that have the bronze rims. Oh, it looks so good. But of course, you have 500 brake horsepower, 450 newton meters of torque coming out of that 4-liter naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine. This is from the year 2022 as well, so it's pretty much rolling as we speak off of the assembly line. This thing is another one of those cars like the MC12. It is an absolute weapon around a track if you like doing track days, but even just cruising around on LA Canyons or Chautauqua if you want, this thing will be a ton of fun. You can find it in the link in the description below. Now we throw it over to the only electric car on this list, and I don't know if it really counts as a supercar, but it's definitely very fast, so I don't know. I think I'd maybe put it as a supercar. This is the Audi E-TRON RS GT, and I actually really do like the styling of this car. I wish it made actual engine noise, but besides that, this thing actually looks pretty cool to me. But regardless, it definitely has the horsepower to keep up. 639 brake horsepower, 830 newton meters of torque. But the drawback, it is an absolute boat weighing 2,300 kilograms. If you like EVs, then this will be one to pick up, and if you don't like EVs, well, then I guess you could skip out on this one. But regardless, I actually do think it's a pretty cool mod, and there aren't a ton of EVs here in Assetto Corsa, so I will take it. You could find it in the link in the description below. Next up, we have the Ferrari 812 GTS, and if the 250 Lusso was the classic tourer, this is a little bit more of a modern day version of it. And of course, it is equipped with a fantastic naturally aspirated V12 engine, making 800 horsepower, 717 newton meters of torque, and it only weighs 1,700 kilograms. If you want performance and luxury combined, this is definitely a Ferrari to look at. Can I also say, I really love the styling of Ferrari's modern day GT cars, especially with the taillights. I don't know, like the 812 super fast kind of style. I think it looks pretty cool. This thing looks pretty cool, and if I was looking for a more daily drivable sports car, I don't know, with 800 horsepower, it's kind of getting into hypercar territory, this would be the one I would pick. But overall, a super cool car, and you can find it in the link in the description below. Next up, we have a car that you may have never really heard of, and I wouldn't blame you unless you've played Forza Horizon. But besides that, this is the Italdesign ZeroUno. This is made by a smaller Italian hypercar company, and this thing is pretty cool looking in my opinion, especially the rear end of it I really like. It has 600 brake horsepower, 560 newton meters of torque, and it all weighs 1,525 kilograms. It has a 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10 as well. V10, it is a dying engine, so it's super cool to see it here in the modern day. The last V10 I'm pretty sure was there's the R8, but then there's also the LFA. V10s sound absolutely amazing. This car sounds absolutely amazing. I think it's one you definitely have to try out. You can find it in the link in the description below. Now we have a modern day Porsche 911 GT3. This is, of course, the 992 version of it. And for this video, I'll be talking about the manual because, come on, you gotta get the manual. 502 brake horsepower, 552 newton meters of torque. It all weighs 1,435 kilograms. That flat six absolutely screams, but if you're taking this thing on the track, be warned, this thing puts the capital O in oversteer. You are going to be sliding the back out constantly, so be prepared for that. That rear engine weight distribution can really be a killer. But if you do have the guts to tame this German beast, then this is one you definitely gotta try out, and super cool colors as well. I love the purple and the blue. You can find this in the link in the description below. Now, I think I might have a problem because this is the third Ferrari Grand Tourer on this list, but this is, I guess, it's kind of baby brother to the 812 GTS. This is the Ferrari Roma. It is a little bit smaller. It has 611 brake horsepower coming from a V8. Ferrari's V8s are still fantastic, though. It's got 760 newton meters of torque, and it all weighs 1,570 kilograms. Again, if you want luxury and performance mixed, this is another Ferrari to look at. And while its styling, I think, is a little bit mixed, especially on the front with its weird kind of almost EV looking grille, I personally like it, but I know not everybody does. But it has some super cool color options as well, so if you're into taking screenshots here in Assetto Corsa, this will definitely be one to try out. Oh yeah, and this thing is also turbocharged, so come on, you can't really complain. MNBA has done a fantastic job with this car. You could find it in the link in the description below. But now, if you've been going through this list saying there's no real hypercars on here, well, this is going to quench your thirst. This is the Mercedes-Benz AMG One. Sadly, we do not have this car here in the States, but if you're in Europe, you get to experience this absolute beast. And the most unique thing about this car is that it uses, I believe, a 2016 Mercedes-Benz Formula One engine in it. Now, of course, the Formula One engine has been tweaked and tuned a little bit so it can actually not only start in a road car, but also be used reliably, semi-reliably, who knows, in a road car. But with super cool styling, active aero, DRS, and a Formula-style wheel, this is definitely a formidable track car and a super cool hypercar for the road. You can find this one in the link in the description below. And finally, we have the Porsche 911 964 Generation Turbo 3.3S. I don't know how to pronounce that word, I'll be honest. You'll see it when you download the car. But this is a Porsche 911 from 1993. It's turbocharged as well. Everything you could ever want out of a classic, beautiful-looking Porsche 911. 378 brake horsepower, 509 Newton meters of torque. It all weighs just 1,231 kilograms. This flat six, it absolutely screams, and it's a little bit more manageable on the oversteer than the newer 911, so I guess that's a plus. I don't know who doesn't like the look of a classic Porsche 911. This thing looks absolutely stunning. It's got some wide fenders on it as well, and a wing, so this thing is absolutely beautiful. You can find it in the link in the description below. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. If you did download these mods, a like and a sub would mean a lot. I got more content coming very, very soon on Assetto Corsa and more. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.